Hello, Gio here, back for another video. And in this video, I'm gonna do a tutorial on how I make my lasagna. I think I'll start with showing you all the ingredients that I use. I use this classical spaghetti sauce, and I like to use the roasted garlic. And this is my favorite seasoning. I use Taco Bell seasoning on the meat. Speaking of the meat, I like to, I don't know if you can see through this bag, but I like to get bison. I think the bison is just, I don't know, it's got a much better flavor, and I think it's better for you. And of course, lasagna noodles, ricotta cheese, and I like to add a couple cans of Hunt's tomato paste because it gives a little extra zestiness to the sauce. Sharp cheddar cheese, and of course mozzarella for lasagna. Hello, I showed you all the ingredients that I use, and I've got a pot of water here for the noodles, and I just put the bison in here. I'm going to brown that up. Now, they give you a lot of noodles in a box, but I don't use all of these. I take about 2/3 of these, put them in the water. Now that'll get hot, and after they soften here, then I'll flip it around to get to the other side. Now the bison, I think, as I said, I like the bison better. I just think I've just always liked bison better than regular beef. I go ahead and brown it like this first, and then when it gets all nice and brown, I put the Taco Bell seasoning in, which I think you probably don't want to hang on the whole time that I'm browning, so I'm going to let that brown, let those soak, and I will come back in just a few minutes. Hello, it's about time to throw in some Taco Bell seasoning, but before I do that, I like to put in a little cayenne pepper. That should about do it. Now for the, excuse me, got to step in front of the camera. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, for the Taco Bell seasoning, you need to add a little bit of water. Now, in case you notice there's a lot of melted fat and grease in the pan, I never take that fat out. I like to mix it right in with the sauce because to me it's fantastic flavor. So I don't drain the fat. I don't try to spoon it out or anything. I leave it in there. Alright, Taco Bell seasoning. And I turned the heat down a little bit because the meat's already brown, so I just basically want to kind of, I guess the right word would be saute all this or whatever, so that the seasoning gets, you know, all through the meat. Stir it up real good. We're going to let that simmer for a while, because it actually does take a while for the noodles. That's probably the longest part, is the noodles, which I've already flipped the noodles around, and they actually look like they're doing really good. So let's just let this simmer for a few minutes and the noodles cook, and I will be back to show you what I do next. I think the hamburger is browned up and seasoned pretty good right now. So I'm going to add the tomato paste, and I've already cut the lid off. I'm usually not that prepared, so today is kind of a unusual. I actually thought that maybe I better take the lid off before I start filming. Get all this out of there. Uh-oh. The noodles is getting a little hot. Maybe I better turn that down a little bit. Alright. One more can of tomato paste. Now, I know if you're watching this, you're probably thinking, what, 2 big cans of tomato paste? What's wrong with that guy? Well, honestly, like I said, this just kind of gives it a little thicker, better consistency, the tomato paste, and it just gives it that zestiness. Now, classical, organic, roasted garlic. Okay. Mix this up real good. The tomato paste is thick, so you really gotta kind of spend some time mixing this up. And if you get too crazy mixing, it'll fly all over because my pan's not very big. Okay. Okay. That seems pretty good. Now I'm going to let this simmer. I think I probably got about another 5 minutes for the noodles to be perfect. So I'm going to stop here and I will be back in a few minutes to show you the next step. Okay, I'm back and I've taken everything off of the stove and I got my little setup here. I got my ricotta, my mozzarella, my cheddar cheese, and I usually start by putting a little bit of this in the pan first. I got a nice big 13 by 9 Pyrex here. I don't think you have to get too much on there, just get a little bit covered on the bottom. Don't have to get too fancy. I'll kind of spread that out a little bit. Uh-oh, I made a mess on the counter. Hope my wife don't see that. Okay. This isn't being very graceful here, smoothing it around. But you know what? I think that's good enough to start with. What I like to do is I'll throw a little bit of this in, a little bit of ricotta. Now, you know, I'm just showing you my recipe, and hopefully if you try it, you'll like it. But you know, as far as the order or what you do next, I don't think it really makes any difference. And it kind of all ends up in the same place, but this is the order I like to use. And I'll put a little bit of cheddar in here. Just a little bit, kind of throw around in there. Now comes the noodles. And if I can get the noodle out with this handy thing here. They're kind of hot, so I'm glad I got the tongs to do this. Uh-oh. I ripped one of the noodles. Okay, it looks like we'll get about 3 noodles here. Okay, maybe I'm not an expert at putting noodles in there. Okay, now for the next step, I slap some more of this in there. I'm gonna get this a little closer so I don't make another mess. Okay. Now, I've heard through the years that some people use cottage cheese instead of ricotta, you know, and I suppose that's all great, but I gotta admit, I just like the way the ricotta tastes better, and I don't like the big lumps of the cottage cheese in my lasagna. Okay, come on. Let's get that a little bit over there. Come on. Okay, that's good. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're gonna do a little ricotta tossing again. Bam! Bam! Just toss it in there. However much you want. Oh, you're not supposed to be on top. How come when you're oh God, it flung out there. How come when you're making a video things go wrong? Not supposed to do that. That's good. That's good. Now this time I'm going to throw a little bit of mozzarella in here. And a little bit of, I was going to say mozzarella again. Cheddar, a little bit of cheddar here, not much. Not much. Now, we're going to put another layer of noodles. And I hope I got enough good noodles, because they kind of tend to stick together sometimes, and then when I'm pulling them out I tend to rip them up. I think I got a couple giving me a hard time now. Okay. One more. Come on, can you get one more out of there, Jill, without tearing it all to pieces? Well, that one had a couple of rips in it, but you know what? It came out okay. That's good. Alright. Now I'm going to put some more sauce down, and actually I think I'm just going to finish up the rest of this sauce for this layer. You can put it all in there. Okay, put that over there. We'll just have to spread this all through here. Try to spread it nice and evenly. So maybe I can make this look like a work of art. But I have to say, I think most of the Italian dishes, Italian food, I actually love Italian food, and I think they are all kind of like a work of art. Okay, that's good enough. Voila! Oh no, I said that French word again. So, we're gonna do this one more time. This will be the last ricotta tossing. Alright, let's just get a little bit more. How about over here? Right there, Gio. Come on. Maybe a little bit right there. Awesome. Man, that's looking good. Now, I think I'll just put a tiny bit of mozzarella here, not too much. And another layer of noodles. If I can get them out of here without tearing them apart. Alright. That worked out fantastic. Okay, come on guys. Don't make me look bad. Make me look like a professional chef. There we go. Okay, well that's a little crooked. There's so much for professional. Okay, one more. Voila. Now, I like to use the rest of this mozzarella bag for the top. I didn't use all my noodles. There's always too many noodles. But I kind of like to use the good ones, and sometimes I tear them apart. So. Okay, almost done. Nice, evenly. Uh-oh. Got some on the counter. Now, I also like to take and finish off the top some cheddar. Well, for one, the flavor, and two, kind of gives it a nice color. A little contrast with the white and the yellow. And the cheddar kind of brown. Now, I put this in the oven. And usually, since most of this is already cooked, you don't have to cook it too long. But I will cook this for about 25-30 minutes at 350. And it kind of depends on your oven, because when it starts to turn brown on the top, that's when I just say, hey, it's done, and I pull it out. Because you don't really need to cook it too much. So, I will put this in the oven, and I will come back after it's done, and I will show you the finished product. I'm back, and the lasagna is out of the oven, and I'm about ready to cut me a nice little chunk and put it on the plate. Come on, come on. Oh my gosh, I'm making a mess out of it. Let's get the rest of that stuff. I want it all. Now, I have not let this cool off. This is straight out of the oven. Whoops, I just got some over there and made a mess. Whoopsie daisy. Still very, very hot. Let's try a little piece. If I don't burn my mouth. This is fantabulous lasagna. I think that's about it for this video. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I wish that you would join me on this journey of reducing stress and all things general, just growing old, being elderly. So thank you very much, and please subscribe on the little button right there.